16 players getting ready for round 10 out of 15 here. We go with Magnus Carlsen, the white pieces, moving out his knight.
Yeah, it's the Reti opening, as we call it, named after the Hungarian player Richard Reti, and Magnus actually used this already earlier in the Champions Chess Tour, earlier in the Charity Cup. Just a very quiet way of starting the game, very flexible, just keeping your pawns in the centre back for now, and throwing them down the board later, just depending on what your opponent does. First, white just getting ready to fianchetto the bishop, just creating a nice home for it. And actually, I don't want to talk about myself too much, but I did play Jorden Van Foreest last year in the Mr. Dodgy Invitational. It was a Blitz tournament. I played this opening against him every single time with white, just because his openings are too good. Here, you just survive the opening. It's actually very symmetrical, especially black brings out his knight. It's almost completely symmetrical now, and you just get out of the opening, very stable position, and you go from there. Also, these two faced each other at the beginning of this year in a classical game over the board, and they had a very similar opening to this one, maybe even this exact position. So yeah, I think this is a good strategy from Magnus, just taking things very slow at the beginning. No fireworks, because that would only favour the young Dutchman.
Yeah, and you're totally right. They're actually repeating their game from Tata Steel. And that game ended in a draw. Okay.
That was one of the most exciting draws I've ever seen, so not all draws are equal, not all draws are boring. That game that they had in January over the board, first Magnus was winning, then he was almost losing, then he was winning again, then he was almost losing. It was a very deep kind of strategic battle.
Yeah.
So Magnus now just gaining space. This is his kind of trademark move, just gaining space on the queen side with his pawns as much as possible at an early stage.
Yeah, and it is an early stage actually to make that pawn move. I mean, it hasn't been played before, even though it is a kind of typical idea in this particular position. I mean, white wants to gain as much space as possible on the left side of the board, and Jorden reacting in a very thematic way, actually just jumping in.
Now, big development in this game, we are seeing that trade. Earlier I said the white knight definitely doesn't want to trade off the black bishop, and usually that's the case, but now the white bishop is able to go for these black pawns. And yeah, this is why maybe Jorden should have tried to prevent, or should have tried to kind of restrain his own pawns, not put them on the light squares. And okay, Magnus is starting to eliminate the material. If all of the pawns disappear, by the way, if white's 4 and black's 3 disappear, rook against bishop is a simple draw. Well, I say simple, it's still possible to lose it, but at this level, Magnus would be able to hold.
He puts another pawn on the light square. So I'm a bit surprised by that one because I thought maybe a king would love to be on that square.
Yeah, really committal from Jorden. I'm not sure he's going to look back on that decision fondly, putting all of the black pawns now as targets for the white bishop, and Magnus, he's just fixed his bishop where it is. So now that bishop internally is going to attack the black pawns. One of black's pieces, the king or rook, will be stuck defending them. And Magnus is just going to wait with his king forever. And there we go, it's the waiting game again. And Magnus leaning back, body language, he thinks he's making the draw.
I honestly don't see a way forward for black because, you know, the king is forced to keep an eye on the pawn on h5. The rook is not going anywhere by itself. It needs teamwork, and of course the rook is also tied down to the defense of the light squared pawns. So I just think that they're going to repeat moves.
Yeah, white is never going to run out of moves and reach something we call zugzwang, where every move white makes would work worse in his position because he can wait with the king or with the bishop. And okay, this is the second time we've seen this position. We're about to get the draw. There we go. Magnus miraculously holds.
Shaking his head, Magnus Carlsen. Eventually, though, after being in big trouble, he saves the draw against